The reason why I'm here today is to share with you the story of Homa Bay County, how we have implemented the FLLoCA program. There are a lot of questions about FLLoCA, right? But before I go there, how many of us in the room voted in the last elections? By show of hands. Good. That's very good. 2, the water bottle in front of you. How much do you think it costs in the streets of Nairobi? You've never seen it? Assume you had the sun in front of you. How much would it cost on the streets? 50 bob. And the same, how much would it cost here, where you're seated? Yeah? 200, 600. What changed? The location. Okay? So, what I'm trying to say in a nutshell, you must change your location. Okay? The youth, we must change the location in order to take our price higher. Sawa sawa? Yeah. No one will change it without us. If you look at what we are discussing right now, I think the topic is about the youth. There are keywords. It's not projected on the projector, but there are keywords that we are looking at. Youth, inclusion, and action. Those are 3 very important words. Okay? It means that there must be inclusion and there must be action. And all this must be around the youth. If you go through the guidelines of the FLLoCA program, who would tell me what FLLoCA stands for in the house? Yes, my brother. Thank you. The word is local-led. Okay? Climate action. So they will only finance local-led finance action. Okay? Now, the model around FLLoCA is about inclusion. And I want to say that I must recognize the presence of persons with disability in the house. I think I saw them here. That is very critical. Because those are the people we are talking about when you're implementing programs around FLLoCA. We are talking about women, and we're talking about youth. So, how has Homa Bay managed to implement FLLoCA to warrant this stage? This is what we've done. We have reviewed the guidelines of FLLoCA. We have reviewed the Kenyan Constitution. We have reviewed what we call the PCCRA. And that is where the FLLoCA programs begins. PCCRA means Participatory Climate Change Risk Assessment. The keywords there, participatory. It means that the beneficiaries of this program must participate in doing the risk assessment in their locations. We don't sit at the headquarters to decide what kind of climate action risk is in Suba South. We don't do that. So that we decide that, okay, fine, in Suba South, there is lightning. No, we don't do that. We go to Suba South, okay? We sit down with the community down there. And that community, the guidelines is very clear. The composition of the people seated in that discussion must have representation of the vulnerable groups. That is where you have the youth, you must have the women, you must have persons with disability, and even the minority tribes within that locality. That is when you score the figures of inclusion. Okay? So that is what we do in Homa Bay. What we did is that we did the risk assessment first at the ward level. Okay? At the ward level, we have what is called the Ward Climate Change Committee. The Ward Climate Change Committee has a representation of 2 youths. Okay? That is a lady and a gentleman. Without that shade, then we are liable for litigation. Anybody can go to court and challenge the process, and it falls flat. So that is the first level where we make sure that the youth have come up and their voices have been heard in doing the risk assessment in their locality. From the ward committee, we have the technical committee. The technical committee is chaired by the CCM for water, environment, forestry, energy, climate change, and sanitation. That is how long our department for water is. So that is the CCM. The CCM is the committee member, okay, who sits in the cabinet. That technical committee has representation from the community. That is now the technical committee charged with running the program. Then at the top, we have the county climate change steering committee, chaired by none other than Her Excellency Governor Gladys Wanga. So that is the structure of the FLLoCA program. Up to that point, we appreciate inclusion, okay? We appreciate the fact that the youth voice have been heard. But the next question is, the youth voice has been heard. What next? Okay? What next? Homa Bay has 40 wards. It means that when you bring together all the wards, we have 80 youths in all the committees. Okay? Now, what happens is that in Homa Bay, from our PCCRA, we came up with drought and floods. The reason why the youth must be included and women and PWDs is that whenever we have these hazards, we are the most impacted. We are very vulnerable. When you have floods, we have our girls being affected. They can't access sanitary pads. Okay? We have breakout of diseases. Okay? When we have floods, the markets are swept away. There's no trade. The women folk are in small businesses. So if you look at all that statistics, we are the most vulnerable. That is why we must be included. Now, to answer the question of what next, Homa Bay County carried out, we sent out a request for application from the youth organizations, youth and women organizations from across the county. It was not handpicked. If you go online, you can check and see. It was an advert, and you go to the website, You apply, you do your proposals, vetting is done, okay? And each and every ward had 2 groups. These 2 groups have been capacity built. We talked about gap in capacity here, okay? They have been capacity built to propagate seedlings, okay? The next thing is, from our analysis, even in terms of access to ag pool, you'll give a youth a tender, he walks to the door, he meets someone who has money. Because he doesn't have money, he has a tender of 500,000, he'll take 20,000 and give that tender to that person. Okay? Which means there's a gap of capital. So after training these youths, you've left them to go and propagate their seed nurseries. That is where now, upon evaluation and thorough scrutiny, these youth groups and women groups are being funded to a tune of 150,000 Kenya shillings. Okay? So that they can go, because they've already been trained on how to do the seedlings. Okay? And most of the youth groups that were being targeted are those who are in the space of that activity. After this, then the next question is access to market. You have seedlings, but there's nowhere you're selling them. I said before that one of the hazards that we picked in our risk assessment was floods and drought. And one of the key areas to mitigate is afforestation. Okay? So these seedlings from the youth, once they are ready, we uptake them from these youth groups. These seedlings are bought from them, from the FLLoCA program. Okay? So that they don't stay with this, their produce. And then the same youths are used in planting these trees. And during we are going to do the launch, and we are targeting to plant 10,000 trees. That launch is supposed to be happening anytime soon. Okay? So this is the short story of FLLoCA in Homa Bay, and I dare say that Homa Bay, I think we are the only county that has what we call the Homa Bay Climate Change Hub. This is an information system that we use to inform our residents on impending dangers of flooding. Agriculture, the farmers, we give them information based on this. And it is youth-friendly because we use what we call VoIP. It means you can access this information on platforms that are the social media platforms. Okay? That is very deliberate and intentional. So that you don't say that I could not access information. Okay? And finally, Homa Bay has what we call the Governor's Climate Change Resilience Model competition. Okay? Award, which the governor always awards the best youth who comes up with the best model. Okay? So all this we are doing in order to make sure that the youth get the best out of all our programs. And I dare say that in Homa Bay, all projects are modeled around the philosophy and principles of public participation. You cannot do any project in Homa Bay without public participation. It is recorded and it is put in our records. So I don't want to take much. I can see my brother is already on my right-hand side. He's saying he's on my neck, but I can see he's not on my neck. Maybe once he comes to my neck, I'll snap. But I want to say that we are very, very grateful and receive blessings and goodwill from High Excellency Governor Gladys Wanga. Thank you very much.